how do you take that step? Like why is Bitcoin that solution?
Yeah. So it's the characteristics of money that make Bitcoin the solution, because no government, no agency, no financial product can be designed to dilute Bitcoin. There's only 21 million units and there'll never be more. And that fact alone is what allows you to use it as a tool for savings. But in today's world, I know a lot of millennials, my peers, they come and they ask me, well, CJ, are you telling me that I shouldn't buy a 3-month US Treasury bond or a 6-month bond and earn 5% plus? I shouldn't be earning 5% yield, right? So the idea has transitioned from savings to cash flow. Like there's been a huge transition in the underlying psyche of the marketplace to where savings is less important than cash flow. And when rates are positive, that's true. But the yield on Bitcoin, the cash flow, the Satoshi flow on Bitcoin really can be viewed two different ways. The first way is that Bitcoin over the last 10 years has a compounded annual growth rate of 80% plus. So let's just call it 80%. So imagine if US Treasuries were paying 80%. That has been the compounding annual growth rate of Bitcoin because of the difficulty adjustment and the exponential growth of the network. And because we're at the bottom of the S curve moving to the top through adoption, all of those factors allow Bitcoin's store value property to produce over the last 10-year period 80% increases in your purchasing power per year over the last 10 years. Whereas right now with US Treasuries, you're getting 5% of an increase, but real inflation is probably 10%. So really you get like negative 5%, whereas Bitcoin's giving you 80. That's the first way. The second way is through mining Bitcoin. The difference between the cost of producing a Bitcoin and the price that you can sell on the market price, that's the yield. So if it costs me $20,000 to mine a Bitcoin and I can sell it to you today for $26,000, that's a 30% yield. I'm selling it to you for 30% above my all-in cost. That is where you can yield. So you can take advantage of Bitcoin through its compounding growth rate, through the adoption cycle, or you can mine Bitcoin and take advantage of the difference between the cost of production and the price that you can sell it for on the marketplace. Those are the two best ways to yield with Bitcoin. And if you're new and you're just starting, obviously you buy it and you use it as savings. But the more and more you get into this and the more and more you study it and start to understand, you're going to go down that path of how can I get involved? Let me run a node. Let me start mining. Let me figure out different ways that I can use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin empowers us in a whole new set of ways that quite honestly and frankly, the traditional world is not ready for the full unlocking of Bitcoin and all that it's going to do for people in the future.
And so when people hear this and you think, okay, you got me, I'm interested, they will see all the other cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah.
What's your go-to explainer why Bitcoin is different and why they should ignore the other stuff?
Yeah. What my go-to explanation for this is Bitcoin. Let's think of these as networks, right? So you have Facebook and you have Twitter, and then you have Gab and Truth Social and probably a whole bunch of other networks that you never heard before, right? And Facebook is Facebook because of how many users it has, right? Twitter is Twitter because of how many users it has. And these other companies are lower, less named, no brand, because they have a smaller user base, a smaller network. So now let's take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and say Monero. Well, when you look at the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin's network is like an ocean, and Ethereum's network is like a lake, like a small lake. And then Monero's network is like a puddle, right? So when it comes
and then we have a whole bunch of soda cans and shot glasses, right?
99.9% of coins and networks are scams and shitcoins, and you should stay as far away from them as you possibly can.
And
But
why
the
are
bit-
they there? Why are they like? I agree, but like, why are they there? Is it like trying to profit of the invention? I would say that is Bitcoin, right? Like, okay, this new invention broke through. I'm gonna say it's good, but not that good enough, and so I have a better solution, right? Like, is it just
So those are
opportunistic?
so if you hear something described like that, it's a scam because there is nothing that can compete with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is the only network that is truly decentralized. There is no other network at all that exists that's decentralized besides the internet, really. The internet
Is
and
it like the
Bitcoin.
wheel? You know, like the wheel was invented, and now like it's not like we have like octagon
Right.
wheels
Yeah,
and
once the
hexagon
wheel was
wheels
invented,
and like
you don't need another wheel. Bitcoin is the wheel. But you know what you have to do with the wheel? You have to attach it to a cart. Because when you attach it to a cart, it makes you that much more productive. And that's where some of these other things start to make sense. For instance, when I participated in the Ethereum ICO, my thought was, oh, Ethereum is going to be better than Bitcoin. It fixes the problems better. And I'm so disgusted with where the network has gone because the first idea around Ethereum was Bitcoin is money, and now I want to have gas so that I can execute smart contracts for my money. In other words, instead of
program the car with the wheel or
right.
something.
So we got
Yeah.
the wheel. Now let's put the wheel on the cart because the cart is going to allow me to offer all these different products and service. If I have the wheel, I can't carry the dirt from point A to point B. Right. But
Yeah.
if I have the wheel on the cart, now I can offer a product or service that allows me to carry the dirt from point A to point B. So all these other networks that exist to compete with Bitcoin are shitcoins and they're scams, and you should stay away from them. But there are a few that complement Bitcoin, that only exist because of Bitcoin, that in their greatest dreams never compete with Bitcoin. Their goal and desire is not to compete with Bitcoin because they can't be money, because they're shitcoins. It's just, there is no other need for another wheel. Bitcoin is the wheel, but you know what? Let's build a cart. And that cart is only going to exist because of the Bitcoin wheel. And that's going to allow us, that's where that, when I say Bitcoin is the reserve asset of the internet economy, this is what I mean. All that wealth that's structured into these treasuries and backed by tax receipts, in the internet economy, all of that wealth is centered in Bitcoin, right? And then you have all these different types of products that are based off of the government's tax receipts. So the government collects tax and they create a product called a treasury. So now you can buy government tax receipts through a treasury. Well, a treasury would never exist if they weren't collecting taxes. Well, if we didn't have Bitcoin, then there'd be no need for Ethereum, because what is Ethereum going to do? Be money? There's an unlimited supply. You can't even audit the supply of. I can't tell you what the supply of Ethereum is going to be at any point in time. With Bitcoin, I can tell you exactly what it's going to be at any point in time. So there's no need for Ethereum without Bitcoin. But with Bitcoin, like I was saying earlier, when DeFi first came out, this is when I really started becoming passionate and starting to understand that I think Bitcoin is evolving from digital gold to digital collateral, right? Because you had gold, and the problem with gold was it's too expensive. When gold is a collateral, collateral is like, if you want to borrow something from me, then I need something to protect the money that I'm giving to you. I'm not just going to give it to you based on credit.
Protect the risk of giving that. Yeah.
So if you want to borrow $1 million from me and you give me $2 million of Bitcoin, I have no concerns that you're borrowing $1 million from me, because I have $2 million worth of collateral. Well, I'm gonna earn interest from the $1 million that you're borrowing from me. So these types of products are interesting to me because I think the future of finance is going to be built around Bitcoin equity, and people who hold Bitcoin are going to have access to the best interest rates because it is the most pristine form of collateral. If you can post Bitcoin collateral, you're going to get reduced interest rates. If you can post Bitcoin collateral, you're going to be able to earn cash flows because it's the reserve asset of the internet economy. The entire financial structure of the internet economy is going to be backed and supported by Bitcoin equity, a lot like the traditional economy is backed by tax receipts. and in the form of treasuries. So treasuries are the number one reserve collateral where there's the most demand. In the future, Bitcoin is going to be the number one reserve collateral with the most demand, but of the internet economy. And what I love about the internet economy, and our generation, we understand the internet. Look, no one economy can outcompete the internet economy because it's an aggregate economy of the entire world. So it doesn't matter who tries to compete with it. The game is already over. The war's already been fought. The battle's already been won. The internet economy is the best economy in the world. It may only be the only growing economy in the world at this point. Every other economy is stagflating. The internet economy continues to grow. That's why if you're on Instagram and all this other stuff, you always see these start your Shopify store, e-commerce. Why are these things so popular? Because the internet economy, that's where these things are growing. You don't need a storefront anymore where you can sell to your local town. You can sell to the whole world. Well, Bitcoin secures that economy that is selling to the whole world, whereas the treasuries, they secure the local economy. So being able to draw that parallel, it really shows you, what Bitcoin is poised to do. But without, I don't want to say Ethereum because I think Ethereum made the wrong. If they listened to me, we would have did 1,000-to-1 split on Ethereum. For every one Ethereum you had, you would have got 1,000 more Ethereum. The price of Ethereum would have went from $4,000 down to $4. Much more people would have entered into the marketplace. Remember, we were paying gas prices. If you wanted to do one DeFi transaction, it could cost like $500-$600 just to execute that transaction. Well, imagine if it was only 50 cents. All of these other shit coins, all of these other L2s wouldn't even exist if Ethereum had just accepted its role, which was, we're not the wheel. We're not money, right? We're not sound money. Bitcoin is sound money. We're just role, gas. And the reason our gas exists is because these smart contracts are the cart to your wheel that are going to help us build this future of finance around Bitcoin equity. So yes, most of it is shit. Most of it you should stay as far away from you. And if you don't have Bitcoin, you shouldn't have anything else, right? Don't think of it as, I got to take a risk on something else to try to...
This one or that one, or buy Ripple because it's only this and that cent or whatever.
Forget about it. Bitcoin is the way.